You know, every single day, you tap, you swipe, you click on these pieces of tech that pretty much run your life. We're talking your phone, your laptop, even your smartwatch. But have you ever really stopped to think about that invisible force that makes it all work? Well, that's the operating system. And it's probably the most important piece of software you'll never actually see. So let's pull back the curtain and see what's really going on in there.
So what does your OS actually do? Because let's be real, without it, that $1,000 smartphone or that super powerful laptop, it's just a really nice-looking box of metal and glass. The OS is the ghost in the machine, the puppet master pulling all the strings.
Okay, to really get it, let's break its job down into 3 main roles. The first one, and the one you're definitely most familiar with, is its role as your own personal assistant. This is the part of the OS that handles every single interaction you have with your device.
Think of this diagram as the OS's job description. And wow, the scope is just massive. It's in charge of everything from how you talk to the machine, to launching your apps, dealing with errors, and managing every single one of your files. It's a huge, huge list of jobs that the OS just handles for you, totally seamlessly.
So, its most basic job, its #1 task as your assistant, is just giving you a way to communicate. It provides what's called the user interface, or UI. And that's basically the bridge that lets you, a person, give commands to all the complicated electronics humming away inside that box.
And you know, there are basically 2 main ways to have that conversation. Over on the left, you've got the command line interface, the CLI. This is a text-based system where you're typing in direct commands. It's super powerful, which is why developers and IT pros love it. But on the right, that's what pretty much all of us use every single day, the graphical user interface, or GUI. We're talking icons, windows, a mouse pointer. When you tap an icon on your phone to open an app, yep, you're using a GUI.
But it's doing so much more for you than just the interface. It executes your programs, which means it loads them into memory and gets them running when you tap that icon. It manages all your I/O, that's your input and output, so your keyboard, your mouse, even your printer. It handles the whole file system, letting you create, save, and organize all your photos and documents. It even manages communications between different apps and is always on the lookout for errors to keep things from going haywire.
Okay, so that's the part you see. But the second role, and you could argue it's way more complex, happens completely behind the scenes. In this role, the OS isn't your assistant, it's the master of the machine itself. Yeah, this is where the OS turns into this master juggler. These are functions that are absolutely essential for your device to even work, but they are completely invisible to you. You don't ask it to do these things, it just does them, flawlessly, thousands of times a second.
A huge one is something called resource allocation. I mean, think about it. Right now, you might be listening to music, browsing the web, and getting email notifications all at the same time. How is that even possible? Well, the OS is intelligently divvying up the computer's resources, its brain power, its memory, between all those different programs so they can all run at once without crashing into each other.
It also performs something called accounting. Now, I know that sounds like a business term, but what it means here is that the OS keeps a log of who is using what and how much. This is super important for big cloud servers, sure, but it's also happening on your own device. It helps the system figure out which apps are hogging all the power, and it can even help you manage your battery life better. And that leads us right into the OS's third and final big job. So, if it's your assistant on the front end and the machine's master in the background, it's also the system's watchful guardian, responsible for both protection and security. Now listen, these 2 words, protection and security, they sound similar, but they actually mean different things. Protection is all about making sure the programs running inside the computer don't interfere with each other. You know, when a game crashes but it doesn't take down your whole computer? That's protection. Security, on the other hand, is about defending the whole system from outside threats. We're talking viruses, hackers, and making sure only the right people can get in. This quote here really nails the idea of protection. By controlling all access to the system's resources, the OS makes sure that one misbehaving app can't just reach over and mess with another app's memory or crash the whole shebang. It builds these little protective walls around each program, which is why your computer doesn't just self-destruct every time one little thing freezes. So, when you put it all together, what do you really have? You've got this silent digital partner working tirelessly 24/7 just to make your digital life possible. You can see it right here. The OS is the central manager of this whole complicated ecosystem. It's the software that connects you to the hardware, your apps to each other, and your device securely to the entire world. It is the absolute bedrock of everything you do. So yeah, it's that friendly interface you use every day, but it's also the ruthless resource manager working behind the curtain and the vigilant security guard standing at the gate.
a personal assistant, a master juggler, and a watchful guardian, all rolled into one incredible piece of software.
So here's the bottom line. The big thing to remember is this. The operating system is the invisible foundation of your digital life, period. Without it, none of this works.
So the next time you unlock your phone or open your laptop, the next time you just tap that screen, maybe you'll take a second and think about the unsung hero working tirelessly right behind it.